it turns out, only about half of the bid window 5 renewable energy projects have so far managed to come online. The rest have been unsuccessful because of soaring interest rates and unfeasible tariff pricing. Let's speak about these latest revelations with the University of Stellenbosch Centre for Sustainable Transitions head, Professor Mark Swilling. Professor Swilling, a very good evening to you. Welcome back to News at Prime. Were any of these problems unexpected?
No. A lot of people who were observing closely the prices for the bids for bid window 5 were very, very surprised how aggressive they were by one or two key bidders who were pushing the prices down very, very low in order to grab market share. And after they were awarded the bids, it turned out that they were not able to deliver on those low prices and wanted to renegotiate.
And are those bidders then, those businesses, are they to blame for the situation where we find ourselves because they simply price themselves, am I right to say, out of the market to be able to deliver in the way that's needed?
Well, you can blame them for being overly aggressive, but that's what businesses do. What we should be asking questions about is the criteria that were used by those who adjudicated the bids. So the IPP office, the Independent Power Producers Office, is the agency that is responsible for approving the bids. And if I was them, I would have been a little bit more circumspect and maybe even a little suspicious about these low bid prices at that time, because it was pretty clear that there was going to be a massive uptake of renewables in other parts of the world, especially Europe, despite the popular image that they are reversing their positions on that, and that's going to drive up prices.
And about 4,600, right, megawatts of renewable energy was supposed to come online through bid window 5. 2021 is when this was expected to have happened already. Looking at where we are, is it fair to say that this is proof that the cheapest options aren't always the best when you consider where the country is sitting in terms of the electricity crisis more broadly?
No, I don't think you can reach that conclusion. The bid windows 7 and 8 have been announced with 5 gigawatts each, so that's 10 altogether. We still are looking at around just below a gig coming through on bid window 6, and there are still significant projects coming out of bid window 5. If you put all of that together, you are looking at a very substantial quantity of renewables, which are absolutely critical to ending load shedding, because renewables comes in cheapest and quickest, most importantly quickest, than any other technology. What is unfortunate is that the companies that try to undercut others at the level of price in order to land the lion's share of bid window 6 are now, in a sense, creating a negative atmosphere about renewables at a time when that is really inappropriate.
Can, Professor Swilling, what is coming online, has come online, can it make up for what's been lost through these unsuccessful projects?
Yeah, for sure.
How quickly?
Well, I mean, it takes roughly 2 years for a solar and wind project to come online. So we're going to see, those projects in bid windows 5 and 6 that have reached financial close. Hopefully, those will be online by, let's say mid 2025. And there's quite a number of projects in the pipeline that are going to come in before the end of 2024. And Eskom published data last week that shows that there's 4.4 gigs of renewables on rooftops now, double what it was a year ago. So if you add up the 4.2, the 4.4 plus the 9 gigs in embedded generation, plus the 10 that is in the REAP project, it's a substantial amount of renewables in the pipeline, and that is really going to result in the ending of load shedding.
I want to pick up on something you said earlier about how this comes at an unfortunate time, I'm paraphrasing, where it may in fact impact or sway attitudes towards renewables? In what way do you see this episode potentially becoming damaging to perceptions around renewables and their place in South Africa's energy mix?
There might be some investors who bought into the story that was told that it was possible to win bids and reach financial close at such low prices. Those investors now are going to be a lot more skeptical when developers come to them for investments in the future. And maybe that's not a bad thing, because they will scrutinize the numbers much more carefully. But what we really want is for the IPP office to be a bit more responsible in making sure that there isn't an over-concentration of bids in the hands of one big player that is pushing prices below what is realistic. So I think maybe this is a good lesson for everybody concerned, investors, the IPP office, developers, to take this seriously. One of the big problems, though, is those developers that have not, those projects that haven't been able to reach financial close have got agreements for access to the grid, which now can't be allocated to others. And that is preventing the others from actually, who can actually develop, build at realistic prices and reach financial close. They are now being prevented from actually getting access to the grid that has been allocated to those projects that cannot reach financial close.
And briefly, Professor, one of the suggestions put forward, I was listening to the radio this morning, where one of the reps was saying what perhaps needs to happen as far as the IPP office is concerned is an extension at the end to allow companies a period, grace period if you will, to be able to change their proposals and perhaps work out better terms for what happens in a scenario where there's now an inability, if you will, to deliver on what had been committed to. Do you agree?
Yeah, it's a good idea to create some wriggle room, but the danger is that it gets exploited. So whatever rules you have to be equally applied to everybody. So imagine you have 10 successful bids, and 2 of them say, "Oh, we'd like to renegotiate," and the others, haven't, don't need to renegotiate, but they really worked out really tough solutions to make it financially viable. There might be concerns about preferential treatment or unfair treatment of those who are not renegotiating their prices. So I think how it is done needs to be done very, very carefully so that we don't have a repeat of what we've had with the emergency round, where legal challenges and all sorts of challenges related to a set of regulations and procedures which were problematic. The REAP projects and bids have always gone very, very smoothly, and we don't want to compromise that in any way.
Professor Mark Swilling, good to speak to you as always.